Hey everybody, it's Tia Upshaw. We are now into 2025 and we are taking the identity shift back to a whole new level. This year it's about showing up authentically, unapologetically, and ready to shift into the life you deserve. Are you ready to make that move? That move that matters? If so, let's do this. The identity shift is here and we're just getting started. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Identity Shift. And I'm your girl, your favorite podcast host, Tia Upshaw. And today we have the beautiful Stephanie Folahan. So let me tell you guys a little bit about Stephanie, though. Just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. Anyway, Stephanie is an award-winning an accountant, entrepreneur, and educator who has dedicated her career to helping small business owners unlock their full potential by mastering their finances. With years of experience delivering I can't wait to get there too, over 75 courses in bookkeeping, tax advisory, and financial strategy, Stephanie has become a trusted resource for entrepreneurs across various industries in Canada. You're probably wondering what her goal is? To simply financially manage, foster accountability, and empower her clients to build thriving businesses and sustainable businesses. So today we're going to chat with Stephanie, go through some stuff, keep it 100% real. Welcome, Stephanie. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm
Of
your
course.
exceptionally kind, welcoming speaker.
Oh, very, very. And I kept it very demure, very mindful, just very classy and cutesy. Um, I'm excited to have you because, we were just out recently and we had some great conversation around money and sustainability and all these things. And it was very much a powerful conversation, Stephanie, where I went home and I was like, I want to make more money. Like literally that night went home and I thought about different ways of making more money, multiple streams of income, how we can really do this because, we have the capabilities as business owners, as women in business to do it, but we're not doing it, right? And I don't know if it's because of the conservative mindset in Nova Scotia. Um, and by the way, my grandmother always told me my personality was too big for Nova Scotia. I should be living somewhere else, like Vancouver or Toronto. Ming, Toronto, find me a place. No, I'm only joking. I'm going to stay in Nova Scotia, but I definitely want to bring the energy here, Stephanie. So that's why I'm excited to have this conversation with you, girl.
I love that. I loved our conversation on Saturday too. I always feel like I can just let my hair down and say all the foolishness when I'm talking to you and you get what I mean,
Get it.
because I just say it how I see it, and obviously it's never intended to offend or be
No,
pointing fingers at other people. And I am 10 times harder on myself than I am on other people too. Like the internal voice like does not let up when I've messed something up, made a mistake, blah blah blah. So I dish it, but I can take it too.
oh,
That's the
absolutely.
other piece. But in terms of like you talking about diversifying and wanting to make more money, for me, 2025 is going to be like diversifying only. I want to make money in different ways. I don't want to have all my eggs in one basket.
Nope.
I don't want, I love what I do. I love accounting. I love my team. But I've really built that to where I want it to be. I don't want to have, this one huge empire. I want to have a couple of little ones.
Little houses. You want to build a
Yeah.
whole community and have little lanes and streets and little
Yes.
pockets everywhere.
Because I have so many, and everybody has so many sides to their personality, and that one thing isn't gonna fill my cup all the time. I am creative, I am fun, I'm funny,
You
I'm
are.
a goofball. So there's a time and a place for everything, but there is, things that I can do that will allow me to be my whole self in those different areas. Accounting is not that creative, so it's hard to tap into that side. But I love numbers and I love hustling. I love fighting with CRA. So, there's parts of that check the boxes that I need. But there's definitely other pieces of Stephanie that need to be watered, and that's going to come through going after those scary pieces that I want to do in 2025. I've talked about them for too long and not done anything,
Oh, we're
so it's
done.
real
We're
time.
done
Like I'm
talking, girl.
calling
We're going to
myself on my
execute.
shit. Oh my god, are we able to
Execute.
swear?
Oh, no, I swear all the time on the podcast.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. I want to see execution, not speaking about you, but in general, but me too.
Facts.
You know, we always come up with these frameworks and planning, strategic meetings, all these things. We need to take it from out of our offices, off of our whiteboards. You got one behind you, and I bet you got to clear it up because you're ready to put some stuff on there
Facts.
and execute it. Execute
Yes. Oh
it.
my God. Can we just talk about like I love the planning and you know everybody's process, but the execution and planning, like a lot of time people get in that analysis paralysis phase, but like the excuse phase, the all the
Yes.
reasons you can't, like there's not enough hours in the day. You know, we're all working with the same 24. We all have the challenges. Like if I look at my last year, I think about what I went through and what I accomplished. My husband moved away for work with like 2 weeks notice. My dad passed away. I have 3 children. I had challenges in my business. We really had the growing pains. I had trouble with
Yeah.
getting the right staff and team around me. Like all the things, all the things. And, you know, we still grew, you know, revenue was almost double the year before. Like it's foolishness. So when someone comes to me and they're like, "Oh, well, I have to work and I'm tired," I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, you sound like me. I say the same thing to people when they're like, oh, you know, I'm a single mom and my kids are in sports, or I work a 9 to 5. I'm just exhausted when I get home, you know, all these things. And I say, where I can respect what you're saying, I don't accept it.
yeah,
It's not an excuse. And just like you, I mean, 2024 wasn't so bad for me. 2024 was actually kind to Tia this year. But my previous years have been hell on wheels, hell on wheels. So when people say those type of things to you or me, you stop and we reflect and we're like, girl, you don't even know what we've been through. And if we were able to do this, so can you. But you have to stop with the excuses, and you have to really just put your best foot out there and just get her done. Just do it. Like Nike says,
yes.
just do it.
Just do it. Honestly, like Saturdays, Sundays, like there's no weekends off in this
Oh,
thing. It's
girl.
whenever
People
the
think
12
it.
I know. That's why they get into it. They're like, "Oh, I want to be able to make my own schedule and be my own boss." And I was like, "Oh, wrong industry. Wrong thing. Like get a
Yeah.
job because that's the closest you'll get to controlling time and it just your role in general because you've got HR policies protecting you. This is
God.
your job description. This is what you do. My job is whatever a client says it is.
At
That
that moment. Yeah.
yeah.
At any given moment.
Yeah.
And I remember someone saying to me not probably about 4 years ago, I said, why do you want to become an entrepreneur? Why do you want to start this business? Oh, I want to have more time with my children and family. And I looked at her, I said, girl, I think you need to come in and talk to me, have a one on one, because I need to give you the real. I need to give you the real. You're not going to be able to take vacations whenever you want.
Nope.
You're not going to be able to fly out whenever you want. You're not going to be able to have those weekends. Sometimes I remember for me, holidays. Stephanie, I remember working holidays. I would do the Christmas, like Christmas holiday, wrap my kids' stuff, put it underneath the tree, and then go out and do a clean for a commercial client. The next day, I would do the big breakfast, open up the gifts with my kids, put the turkey in the oven because you know it takes like forever to cook. Put a turkey in the oven, and I'd be like, shoot, I'll be back. I have 2 Airbnbs I have to go clean because people are checking in. People don't care that it was Christmas; they're checking in, so we need to make sure the checkout was done and everything else. So if you're looking to go into business because you think it's glitz and glamour, it's farthest from the truth. I mean, I wouldn't change what I do, and I'm pretty sure you wouldn't either,
No, I wouldn't.
Stephanie. But it's not what people think it is.
It's not. And I even like. I don't. I would never want to like present it in the way that like someone should feel bad that I work 80 hours a week or that from March 1st to May 3rd there isn't a minute off. Not even a day. There isn't a
That's
minute
your
off
tax
in
season.
what I do. Right. And you know, in the Q4 here, I decided to teach 11 classes. That's wild. That alone is 48 hours a week on top of running my business. But I never want anyone to feel bad. Like I present it like just a realistic. Like does that 60, 70 hour work week feel like something you could do? Because that's really what it takes. And I would consider myself to
Yeah.
have made it in terms of what I set out to do. Like obviously the goalpost moves every time I accomplish something else.
Oh, it has to.
Can't help it, right? Keep saying after this year I'm gonna
No,
take.
you're not.
It's just in me. Like I have to. This is what I need to do. It's like breathing. Like I have to do it this way. But when I say work a lot and you know the hours and this and that, I'm genuinely not complaining. It's
Nope.
just realistic. It's the job. It's comes with the territory, and I feel privileged to be able to do that. I
Yeah.
don't ever look at the week and say, oh my God, am I going to make it to Sunday? Never. I'm
Oh,
like, all
yes.
right, let's go. Who wants this? What are we doing? What are we accomplishing? Like, every day is a challenge. Like, I don't care what day of the week it is. I love all of what I do. But when some people, talk to me about wanting to do this or jump in and then they lead with, well, I'm only available at this point and I can only do this and I can only and I can only. And I'm like, okay. And then just understand the results will reflect that.
Oh, yep. Watering
Maybe
your
I'm
plants.
not who you should look up to or ask to mentor when you're really looking to have 2 or 3 clients, because that's just not what I do. I'm all
Absolutely.
in. So I'm going to treat it like you want to be all in and you're going to go, full beast mode every day. I can't hang with people that don't do that. So
Oh,
I'll be a
Stephanie,
horrible help to you.
Stephanie. Oh, I just had this epiphany that came in my head. I had a conversation with someone not too long ago, and they were like, well, Tia, not everybody, wants to go hard like you. Like, some people want to take vacation, some people want to do all these things. And I said, literally, word for word, that's totally fine if that's what they want to do. But please don't come to me to ask me questions to be your mentor.
I'm not
Because
it.
when you do that with me, I'm under the impression, if you're asking me, you want to find out how I got what I got and you're going to implement it. So it's frustrating for me. If you're not all in,
Yeah,
oh Lord,
you're
if
gonna
you want to,
fail. You're gonna
oh,
fail because if you like, I'm what I already know what it takes to get to where I am the way that I did
absolutely.
it. So if you want to model after anything I've done, that's what it takes. So I already know you're not gonna make
Oh,
it. So like, let's just be friends.
like literally,
We
like,
shouldn't date
oh
in the
my
entrepreneur
goodness.
space.
That's something that people genuinely don't get. I'm like, I don't want you to be me. I don't. I want everybody to be individuals. But you cannot come to me and ask me, well, how did you do this? Because I want this and I want that. But if you're not willing to sacrifice what I did or go the extra mile that I have on everything I've done, there's no point of coming to me because you're
No, I'm the
wasting my
wrong one.
time.
Wrong one.
Wrong one.
Yeah.
Because, I was at a meeting yesterday and someone said to me, when do you sleep? And I said, well, I do go to bed at a good hour, 8 o'clock, whatever. But in general, my mindset I have in my head, Stephanie, is I have wasted a lot of my life doing a lot of bullshit, right? And this is my time now to capitalize on every opportunity that wasn't supposed to be mine to capitalize on. So I will sleep when I'm dead.
I
That is
love
my
that.
motto. Is
But
like,
that's your balance. Like,
it is.
if you slept 10 hours, you would be unhappy. If you slept 12 hours, like, you'd be mad at yourself. You'd be unhappy. So the balance would be off the other way. I get DMs and messages of people worried about how much I work
How
and
many of
this.
them are women?
All of them
Exactly, because a
are
man a
women.
man would never say that to a woman
Never.
and to another man.
Never. So I usually just hit them with something like, we just have different measures of what balance is. I feel happy at home and happy at work. So those are the 2 places that I spend the majority of my time because
Hmm.
I love both. I don't feel like I have to do either. I want to. So as long as that's the feeling I get with anything that I do, that is how I will spend my time.
Absolutely. It
I
gives you passion and purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. But the folks that go half in, like, there's space for everybody to do it their own way, how they want. Maybe someone is way smarter than I am, so they don't need to put in the hours. I would always say that I was blessed with hard work and hustle. I got smarter as I went, but I wasn't like an A
Girl,
student in there.
speak it. I was
No.
not coming from academia.
No, 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 definitely not. Definitely not. So it took a lot of, like, I'm every day I'm smarter than I was yesterday,
Yeah.
and I study still and put in time into my craft and my skill set. But the fact that, like, I just tapped into what I was blessed with, and that was the hard work and the
Yeah.
hustle gene. I don't know what it is. Like, it's in some people and it's not in others. And I got smarter as I went. But if you aren't a hard worker or a hustler, like, I have no business advice for you.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh, I love that. I love
that's
that. I love that. I'm going to make sure that when I edit this, that caption is actually bolded, that what you just said, because that is perfectly aligns with who you are. Um, hard. You can't get around it, Stephanie. Like, I wish people would just understand it. That you have to be all in. Like, I don't know at what point, and I don't know if it's Instagram or social media that shows it to be easy. in the beginning, it's going to be so difficult. You're going to want to give up. You're going to be crying. You're going to be stressed out. Um, and, but it's going to be worth it in the end. And when you mentioned that, you don't come from academia either, but you crafted everything, like you work on it. And even this morning I was up at 6 a.m. Like I get up at 4, but I was up at 6 on my computer because I have a master class happening Thursday. And I thought about something last night I want to add into it, like an exercise for the class. And then I said I want to let them take away a module from the class so they can work on their own workbook. So girl, I got up and I started
Okay.
creating a workbook and activities for this master class on Thursday night. You work on yourself, you be the best version of yourself every single day. So what I thought I was going to do at my master class 2 weeks ago when I put it on Eventbrite, I have surpassed that. It's much different.
Oh, there's no way you're creating it and leaving it for 2 weeks. It's
No.
on your mind the whole time. So, and on your mind, and how can I make this better? How can I make this better? Like you
Yeah.
want to deliver the absolute best. Not, it's not because you're stressed, not because you don't want to do it.
No.
Not, it's like, how can I leave the best mark on these people, give them the most, and I won't stop thinking about it until the job is done. In
That
like
was me.
every day in every way, how can I give them the most and the best of me in the time I have with them?
Oh my God, you're welcome to my world. Welcome to my world. I do have like a little question because
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure it out because I'm not a money person. So I'm just trying to figure out how these mistakes happen. Why do so many small businesses or entrepreneurs, Stephanie, kind of hide from their financials, or why they delay dealing with, even getting their business registered on CRA with a business number, or as far as going to do your taxes, let alone pay into their taxes? Why is it? Do you think it's because they're scared or they're just not educated on it? Like, I'm trying to figure out what's
Oh,
missing.
this like is a layered question because
Oh, sorry.
no, because obviously I don't know if you know this, but I have some deep feelings about like our education system and the
Yeah.
curriculum and such, and how it's really set up to make sure that people are great employees because there's no real entrepreneurship programs. I've done guest
No.
speeches in university level entrepreneurship programs that are led by folks who are employees and don't own businesses, and then they're
Yes.
teaching people how to be entrepreneurs, and I'm like, how? You don't even know how. You're not one. Like,
Yeah.
there's no chat GTP curriculum or Google research. Like, you can only become an entrepreneur by going through it. Like, the point at which you stop is when the next challenge is just too big to continue. So, for me, I haven't hit that yet, so I keep going and we keep growing.
Yeah.
But I really feel like there's just nothing in place to encourage entrepreneurship properly. So when you start, there isn't like this place that you go that makes sure you don't screw this up royally. And by the time you have, you get there and you sort of know where you should be looking. I should be at RJSC. I should be at CRA. I should be talking to an accountant. I should be, doing this, this, and this. I should be bookkeeping before my taxes. I didn't know my taxes and my HST aren't the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't know all that. You're almost 2 years in because you do a year, then the small business taxes aren't due until the June after the
Yeah.
year. So you're 18 months in business just learning about all the things you screwed up and the money you didn't save and the things you didn't have in place to make sure that you were successful. And now sometimes it's already too late.
Oh, yes.
Because like,
Well, I've been there
right?
personally, so I know.
Yeah. So then some people flounder and they go get a job or they get a loan or they claim bankruptcy. And then the real entrepreneurs say, okay, cool. So how much money do I need to make to deal with this problem? And then they go deal with the problem. So it's that test, that first tax return where you sit down with an accountant and you figure out all the things that you did wrong or you messed up or you didn't understand. And you decide what you're going to do with that information and where it goes from there. But I can't tell you, I would say a good 30 times a year in tax season, someone will call me and say, hey, I've already done my personal taxes. I need help with my business taxes. And I say, oh, are you incorporated? And they say, no.
Well, then it should have been done in your personal as
Right.
other.
So already, we're setting up for failure here because I got to refile, and then when you refile something with CRA,
Ding,
kind of
ding,
lets
ding, ding, ding.
right. So, now you're getting an audit, you're getting a review, not always, but that piece, it just becomes so stressful. It's so many balls in the air with having to deal with it, and a lot of people decide they can't afford accountants, but I kind of look at it like you can't afford not to have one.
You can't. And I even say to people, if you can't afford an accountant now, at least get a bookkeeper. At least so they can create, a framework for you and get your things ducks in a row. But within 6 months from the time you get a bookkeeper, you should be looking at your budget to implement having an accountant. You
Absolutely.
can't afford not to. Like, if I didn't have Leah is my accountant from 20, after I got audited in 2015. So 2015-ish, 2016-ish, Leah Tolero. And her mom owns the Halifax Buskers. And I was cleaning for them, literally, cleaning their Airbnbs. And one day she was like, "Oh, T, I live up on Quimpool in the apartments. I can't remember what they're called. And I do a lot of traveling for my accounting. And I'm wondering if you want to trade services." And at the time, I had a bookkeeper, but my bookkeeper failed me. It was a bookkeeping company in Spryfield. Failed me. I got audited bad, and I owed like $42,000.
Ugh.
Fuck, fuck. When they do in the forensic review,
Audit.
or
Yep.
everything was locked down, Stephanie. Everything was locked down. It was the worst time, I swear to God. But anyways, when Leah come back on, I have never, number one, I've never had to worry. But number two, the reason I never had to worry, not just solely on Leah, I knew that I need to understand my back end too. So whenever she's doing something, give me an income statement, I need to be able to review that. And it needs to make sense to me. If I don't know how to
Yes.
read one, what's the point of having them?
Facts. Like even just that negative experience, right? Like it didn't cripple you. It
No.
didn't like, and it affects people like negatively, emotionally a lot. I don't talk about this a lot, but I sit down. I actually probably have never said this out loud. I have been in many meetings where the person is like, I might kill myself after this meeting. I thought about killing myself on the way to this meeting.
Oh my
And,
God.
that's, a huge amount of like pressure for me to take on. And I'm
Stephanie.
obviously, not gonna not try to help them, but like to drop that on somebody, that's how deep that this stress is, like the financial piece of business. Even just individuals, right? Like individuals that aren't business owners get into financial turmoil as well, and it cuts so deep. Sometimes they don't bounce back. I see the
Oh my
mental
God.
health dwindle. Sometimes they do, and they send me amazing follow-ups to say, just it's touching when you've helped someone out of a rut that dark. But I don't think like that 42,000, luckily you're the soldier that you are, and you knew, all I got to do is make more money, put a plan in place.
Yeah.
I'll handle this. But not everybody is built like you. And that 42,000 is like, the end of the world for real for
Oh
that.
my God, Stephanie, I tell you though, back then, I was stressed out. I was like, holy shit. Thank God I never owned any property then. But then going through the audit, you learn a lot of things. Even if I had property, they can put a lien on it, but they're not gonna like,
They
take
can't
your,
make you move out. Not
yeah.
that they can't. Like if there's negligence, I've never seen it happen. That's what I'll say. I've
Absolutely.
never
I've done
seen it
research
happen.
that year, girl. I was meeting with lawyers and everything to find out like if it ever happened again. Like
Yeah,
what do
something to ease your mind. Who can I talk to that's gonna
absolutely.
give me some breathing space today? I
Like
might be
literally.
off my rocker again tomorrow, but I need to find a little peace so I can keep going. And then, it gets easier and easier and easier. But the folks that don't ask for help or don't
You
don't do
have to
the
ask for
research,
help. You have to
you
come
know,
out to ask for help. Like you literally do. So for anybody listening and watching this, you start a business, one of your expenses that should be incorporating your financial projections right off the rip is an accountant.
absolutely, absolutely,
Is an accountant. And when I see people's financial projections, I'm going to be honest with you, 99.99% of business plans and financial projections that I proofread, that I work with individuals with building, never put that expense in. They'll
no,
put postage in, gas,
they
their
do.
car leases. You never see an accountant or a bookkeeper.
I know. And just on touching on projections in general, they typically way overshoot the revenue and way undershoot the expenses, and they leave critical partnerships like accounting and
Errors, big
bookkeeping out
errors.
of it. That is playing with fire, if you ask me. Like, it's like going to play in an NBA game and leaving LeBron on the bench. Like, the accountants are the ones who know the numbers,
Yeah.
and the finances are the language of business. So why wouldn't you have somebody in your corner that speaks that language? Does it make any
I,
sense to me?
I think it should be started right from the floor up. And I'm glad you mentioned, or ground up, sorry, not floor, ground up, about when your guest speaking at universities or, school settings, educational settings. I do it all the time. And I get blown away from the professors or the facilitators who are running these programs. And I'm like, how can you teach entrepreneurship when you've never been an entrepreneur in your life? Like, it blows me away.
I don't understand it one bit. I do participate in another program, and I won't say the names of them, but there is one that's facilitated by an employee at this organization, and then they bring in entrepreneurs for
Oh, I know
every
who it is.
section. This
I,
is
I, I, I just recently found that out too. And I'm like, so you bring in professionals to piece in your whole program. So the professionals in each field is your entire program. It's only the person facilitating. It's crazy how they make it work. And all they say it's they're building the ecosystem. They're just building their partner ecosystem. I'm like, really?
It's funny. It's funny. Well, there's. I think that, like, the entrepreneurship piece for people in positions of power and authority positions at certain organizations, and just in the world in general, like, they are going to want to hold us down to an
Oh
extent.
yes.
Like, that we are of a great threat to some. Like, when you do it right, you build out the exact life that you want and have everything that you could dream of, and at your own control and by design. Like,
Yep.
all of it, I don't answer to anybody. I
Oh,
obviously my clients, but that's a little different. There isn't any egg in a basket that's going to sink me if that relationship ends. Where,
yeah.
when I was an employee, I absolutely kissed all the asses. I compromised. I was a version of myself that I'm embarrassed of, now looking
Today, yeah.
back, like, oh, she did that. Like, what a sin. And you have to go through it to come out on this side of it. But certainly, the freedom on this side of it, I
Ooh.
wouldn't trade a 40-hour work week for how I feel about what I get to do every day, ever.
It's funny you said that because I recently had a meeting. There was an organization that offered me, in the beginning it was 55,000, and it was 85, then it ended up being $100,000 to work for them. But then I had to think to myself, I'm not employable. I cannot work for nobody. Like,
I'm fired.
you guys would hate me at the end because I would tell you everything you're doing wrong, and I would want to recreate your whole framework and the whole culture within your
They would
organization.
just need to put my desk in the HR office because I would
Like,
live
yes,
in there. I'd be right.
literally.
I would not be built for that.
Oh my goodness. And then I said to myself, well, not employable. Let's look at taxes. Let's look at all these pieces to it. Yeah, it's $100,000, full benefits, vacation, lieu hours, all these benefits. And even to drive down to the meeting, they gave me gas money. Like, they paid for, like, literally.
Mileage, yeah. Okay.
But I was still like, it would be a great opportunity, but it needs to be through contractual.
I agree. I couldn't do any employment situation whatsoever. And sometimes I feel like totally like hypocritical or contradictory when I say things like that, and then I have employees, but I really
Same with
give my
me.
employees the space to be creative and carve out their roles, and they also are aware that they would prefer to be an employee to an entrepreneur. They don't look at my life and
Yeah.
say, I want that. They're like, girl, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, perfect. Everybody is right where they need to
To
be.
be.
So if somebody in my organization wants to start a side hustle, that they're given the freedom and the space to do that. I'm really flexible and absolutely encourage that entrepreneurship piece.
Yeah.
But it isn't for everybody. I preach it, but I know, well, I can have a conversation with someone for 2 seconds. You are not an entrepreneur.
Oh my God,
You got, like,
girl, it's like a sixth sense we
oh
have.
yeah,
you give the side eye and you're like, you'll keep talking to them,
Oh yeah, just to be
be
polite.
polite.
Like, oh, get me out of this
But
conversation.
then when you go, you're like, I hope I never bump into that person again because
Yeah.
that person, do
Or when
not
I
come to
do,
my
I know they'll
office
be exactly where they are right
right
now
now
in a
because they're
year.
not.
They're not gonna do it. No.
And your staff are kind of like my staff. I remember when I first got my first staff through the organization, and there was no like hand modules where they had to follow protocols and all these things, right? And they did not know how to function without having that put in front of them. And I sat the first one down, then two more came on. This was just a year ago, and I blatantly said to them, "I'm not here to employ robots. I'm here to employ future leaders. You need to figure out your own platform and how you're able to do the job for me that I'm paying you to do in your own way and hold yourselves accountable. Of course, there's rules and regulations and policies around being an employee of BWIE, but I'm
Yes.
not going to give you a script of how to email somebody back.
No.
It's not
I
happening.
actually, in an interview, say, how would you feel about working somewhere that, it's incredibly casual and there isn't, a 500-page employee guide how to do this? However, it is expected
Yeah.
that you act with professionalism and in line with what you're seeing around you, and you get the space to carve out your own role in here. But I can tell you that you're not going to sit down and I'm going to say, okay, this, and this is how
Not
we do it.
happening.
And you're like, I want you to have some freedom to be creative and figure out what you love about doing this and then tackle that every day. I don't just want to put this on your desk and say, here, I need this by 5. I want to just be like, here's your clients,
Yeah.
maintain
Figure it out.
relationships, figure it out. Yes, legit, figure it out.
Figure it out. I'm not gonna
Some
walk you
do.
through it. If I had to walk you through it, then I may as well not have that position filled. I may as well just do the position myself, right? I'm trying to outsource different opportunities for people and put them in positions where they're able to elevate themselves professionally. But I'm not gonna do the work for you. And
No.
a year later, they all get it. They're just like, okay,
Yeah,
now
I
I
will
get.
give you the space to fuck it up
Yes.
for months. And
Yep.
then eventually I'm gonna be like, yo, you've been here for 6 months. Like, I need that mistake
Like,
not to
come
happen again.
on. Like, what's
Right?
gonna change? What's gonna
Yeah.
change? Like, oh,
Yeah.
we're both
No,
on the
the
same path
space
with
I
that.
give them, I had a new person recently got 2 complaints in a short period, and just on his communication style. And he came to work and I could tell he was nervous, and I was like, bro, how do you want me to handle it? Because I can say whatever I want to you, but they cannot say shit to you.
Yeah.
So, would you like me to step in? Because I'm going to check them like you're my brother or my son. Or
Or
do you want to handle it? And he's like, no, 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 I got it. But for him to see that I had his back, that he came in and it wasn't like, no, 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 why you? I legit was fired up because I'm like, this is a new guy. It's just, he communicates differently. He's actually, probably one of the smartest bookkeepers that I've had come through my door. Give him a minute to breathe and find his rhythm without trying to
shut
pick
all the
his
way
shit
up.
apart like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're not
Oh
doing
my
that.
God. I just dealt with something like that. One of my staff from a partnership from another organization, and we have a meeting coming up. And I asked her, does she want to be in on the meeting? And she said, do I have to be? If I don't have to be, I don't want to be. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you the meeting is about holding them accountable of what transpired with you with regards to you. And I want you to be there so you can hear what I have to say. And she was like, oh, in that case, yes. Because right is right and wrong is wrong.
Absolutely.
And, there's always a way to do things, but you're not going to be demeaning to my staff.
Never.
You're not
Never.
going to be disrespectful. You're not going to speak to them in any type of tone or manner that I would never do. And if I see it in black and white in the email, girl, I go up to here.
Right. I don't have a guide that says I have to handle a complaint like
No.
this. No, first of all, like I will hear your complaint, but you are going to be respectful in
Yes.
doing so. And then we can find some, happy medium or
Common ground
some
somewhere.
line. But you're like, this isn't going to escalate into some foolishness because I'm not good at that.
I'm terrible at it.
Gonna
You should.
get ugly quick.
God. I have to
I'll go
pray.
to jail for sure.
I'm always praying, Stephanie, even, and I pray to God that most of these complaints come in on emails, because if they were on Zoom like this, or any other
Well, they
video,
wouldn't. They wouldn't. They're
they
thumbs
wouldn't.
ups. They're
They
thumbs ups,
wouldn't.
right?
But if they did, they would see a side of me that they'd be like, Most would be shocked because what I would say up and down, um, I don't do well with disrespect
No,
of
and I
anybody
I
around
can
me.
take a complaint like just and the funny thing is like even like feedback that isn't the best, right? Like it doesn't even have to be a complaint. Just know that I'm analyzing the situation 10 times harder than you
And
ever
you
will.
are
I'm
absolutely.
already on them coaching, but you gotta give them some space to figure this out. Like if there's no harm, no foul, no penalties, no like deadlines missed and such. Like just we're talking little. You would have preferred your email answered in 3 hours instead of
Of course.
it was the end of the day. Whatever. Like these little molehills. Like I'm over here fighting CRA from taking people's houses, and you're
Yeah,
crying about this, and I can't obviously can't tell you all of how we prioritize, and that I put this client above you today
but it's
because
not. It's not for them to know
whatever.
that.
It isn't for them to
No,
know that.
it's yeah.
But you're never going to disrespect anyone on my team. I ride them hard. I'm a hard boss, but I have their backs all the way. So I'm willing to lose a client that's disrespected.
I'm the same way. If I have to lose a
No problem.
partnership, I'll lose a partnership.
Yep.
If I lose funding, I'll lose funding. But you're not, because I know how hard I am on them and the expectations I have for them.
Yes.
So you're not gonna you're not gonna do that to them too.
No.
Yeah. Oh goodness, goodness gracious, goodness. Oh, it just gets me fired up. I want to jump into something really, really quick because it's important to me because we're all going into 2025. By the time this comes out, it will be 2025.
Love it.
What are some of the habits, or one key habit, I guess you would say, that entrepreneurs need to adopt going into a new year, even if it's 2025 or 2026, if they're looking to level up their money game?
Oh, level up their money game. Well, first of all, I think that a ton of entrepreneurs aren't even tracking their finances to begin with. Many of them are
Yeah.
shocked when I tell them what their taxable income is at the end of the year. Like, I couldn't imagine playing Russian roulette with,
Nope.
the money in my bank account at the end of the year, wondering, do I have enough for taxes? Am I going to have to take out some debt to actually service what I owe CRA? Just the tracking the financial piece in general and understanding that the financials are a tool for your business, not just something you have to do, but
Yeah.
something that can help you get there. These are the lifeline of the business. I don't understand how folks function without knowing what their revenue was yesterday, last week, last month. Like I am to the minute with it. I
Girl, vice
really
versa. I was watching your video this morning. You were doing your hair and
15,000
everything. I love your videos in the morning now. And you were talking about, your finances from last week, I believe it was.
the last month,
Yeah,
October.
last month.
Yeah.
And I was like, kudos. I thought I was anal because I just be looking and I track it, not because I'm scared there's money missing or anything like that.
No,
Nothing like that.
I'm trying
I'm
to I'm
tracking it
competitive.
because I need to push myself. Like, girl, I could have done better. Like,
Yeah.
this time next month, it better not come in the same. It better not come in the same. So I'm glad that you mentioned about, having a clear understanding around their financials. It's true.
Yeah, no, last month, I'll just tell the story quickly. Last month, we were 2 days to the end of the month and we had $15,000 left to do. And Halloween was in there as well, obviously, as the last day of the month. And, we could have approached it as like, oh, we'll just make it up next month. But like, my whole team knows that, like, that's not how I move.
Yeah.
So as soon as we got to like the realization that we were lazy earlier on in the month, the plan just was put into motion as to how the tasks we needed to do to make sure that we execute it. And in the 2 days, we ended up doing 20,000 instead of
The 15,
15,000.
yeah.
Made the month. I did sacrifice Halloween with my kids, and I'm sure I'll get mom shamed somewhere along the line when this goes out. But my
Oh,
kids were
God.
taken care of, and that was my decision to make. And my kids had the best Halloween. We had a wonderful Halloween party before the Halloween itself, anyways. But that is the job. Like I can't teach my team it's okay to accept failure.
No.
So I'm not going to go trick or treating and expect them to do it. I'm rallying the troops and I'm leading the way, and we're hitting that
Bravo.
goal. Yeah,
Bravo.
and we did.
Bravo. I love that. I love it. I love everything you just said about it. The biggest piece that, hit me was the mom shaming because I know I used to get it a lot. And even from my kids as they were getting older, they're like, oh, you're never around. You're always working. And it used to tear me apart. Tear me apart all the time. I would leave the house feeling so shamed as a parent. Like, what am I out here doing? What am I out here doing? And I mean, now my kids are older, 29, 26, and one will be 18 next week. And they're just like, Mom, we were just children and you were young adults. We were just trying to sook about it, right? We understand and we understood. Um, but it still doesn't change the fact that we're moms first. And when we have to
Absolutely.
say, I can't take you trick or treating, or we can't have this, movie night, um, it's for a good reason, Stephanie. It's not because we're tired.
No, 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 no. I think also too, like, the times are different. Like, I can't even imagine like having to leave the house the way you had to when your kids were smaller.
Girl.
Like, luckily I mainly work from home, so I am with them for most of the night and the afternoon when they get home from school. So I get to be around a little bit more than, with my oldest son. Obviously I was off to work and then at night
Yeah.
going to school, so same thing. I really missed a lot, and I opted to miss Halloween this year. We've had many, we'll have more.
You'll have more. Your kids are still
They
young,
didn't
too.
even give a shit. They didn't say anything. They got their candy. They went with their older brother. My mom helped out as well, and we have a wonderful support system. They enjoy my mom. They enjoy their older brother. So it isn't like I'm like calling around like, can you babysit? Can you babysit? Like,
No.
it's my support system knows. Okay, this is like, I'm not gonna fail. Like, what that failure looks like, not making that month, rolls
Oof.
into now November, and then I have to take money out of perhaps my own income to pay
Absolutely.
payroll, and
Yeah.
I'm not willing to do that. So I miss Halloween so that we can continue to have the same life and lifestyle
Lifestyle.
we
Yep.
used to, or I roll this failure into the next month and it affects us for the whole month instead. So I sacrifice
Oh, God,
Halloween
Stephanie.
to have a wonderful November and keep my life exactly the way I'm used to. It's a no-brainer to me.
Well, I wish it would have kicked into me because there's been so many times that I have taken out of my own account to do payroll. I remember so many different times missing a mortgage payment to cover payroll. Um, and I think for me, I was just caught in between the community impact and being selfish on me as a business owner. But them days are done now. You hear me? Them days are done. I put the work in 4 years with the organization. I created a lot of community impact, but I need to go back to who I was before Black Women in Excellence came out in 2020, because I've been in business since I was 2013. So I've always been, a bad bitch. I've always had multiple businesses and I've always had multiple streams of income where areas people are like, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you did that. Well, yeah, I do that. Um, so I wish I would have had your mind frame in the last 4 years. But it is what it is, lessons learned. But I know exactly what you're saying is that, you made that decision. And I mean, you and your kids are going away for the holidays.
Yeah, we're leaving Sunday.
Like your kids are they probably already forgot about Halloween. They probably didn't even think
Fact.
for a minute.
Do you know Caesar had the Halloween decorations down on the 29th because he wanted the tree up? So we didn't decorate before Christmas just that quite that early.
Are
But
you serious?
yeah, he was over it. So, I really didn't feel anything. I'm sure, like I said, someone's gonna send me something wild when this goes out, or even when I post the reels, just checking on you. You looking for news? You're not checking on me.
Oh God,
I am
girl,
so good over
listen.
here.
Stephanie, we are the same person because I have those thought processes every time someone says, "Oh, I'm just touching base, just checking in." No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're looking to see what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and why am I doing it. That's what you're doing.
Oh, it's check. Like, just to even think about like my how different my life is right now versus August of this year. My husband lives away, so people probe for the like, oh, are you guys gonna stay together? Are you guys gonna move? Like, how
No,
am I?
we're divorcing. We are
Yeah, right.
divorcing. I would have told them
I was
exactly what they
asking
want to
someone
hear.
that, right? Oh yeah, yeah, we're done. Like, it's crazy though that people ask that stuff. Like,
No,
when you sat down on Saturday, I was like, is it okay to ask you this question?
yes, you did. And
I
I was like,
I
thank
felt
you
like
for
I
asking.
only wanted to make sure you knew I meant it as a compliment, and because I don't think people should ask that stuff. But I had already started blurting it out, so I was like, oh, I just wanted to make sure it's
But you know
okay.
what, Stephanie? Honestly, it all depends on the person.
Yes.
You know a person and their intent. you know, so you can feel it, you can read it.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
you, there was no intent around asking me about when am I getting married. There was no malicious intent. There was no, oh, I'm going to take and run with this or whatever, right? It was
Yeah.
purely
None.
out of curiosity from one married woman who's in business to another one who's getting married who's in business. So, girl, when are you getting married? Basically, you have to make it the forefront. Like, what are you doing it? Type thing.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
didn't take
No,
it no
it's
kind of
totally
way.
genuine.
Yeah, other people, I just be like, oh, we're not getting married no more. Or I don't think it's ever gonna happen. Like I will tell them stuff they want to hear because
Good for you.
you're asking me crazy stuff, or when is your wedding? And I'm like, you're asking me, but you would never be invited to it. Like
You don't need to know the
you
date.
don't need to know it. So things like that drive me absolutely nuts. So I
Yeah.
did not. I was okay with talking to you about it because I know your intention is pure, and you know I never ever second guessed it at all.
Oh, I appreciate that because
Of course, of
you know
course.
the foolishness, right? Like I get
Oh
that.
my
And
God!
then
I
you
tell
lose
you,
a pro athlete.
we're one of the same people.
Facts.
I swear, one of the same people. Um, we are. What time is it? Oh my goodness! See how quick that happens. It's
I
just ready to
know.
fly by.
Always growing.
Um, I just want you to mention what the harsh truth is. Every entrepreneur needs to hear about when it comes to money, accountability, and how that leads to success. Stephanie, before we end the show,
Oh, okay. So I mean, you can go a different route with each one of those, and I think
put them together.
yeah, I'll put together the whole piece where folks don't hold themselves accountable because they don't educate themselves on what the outcome is supposed to be or even understand what it is that
Yeah.
they're looking at. So, you know, you're doing your financials, you're doing your taxes, you're checking the bank account, and none of it makes any sense to you. So the accountability piece is completely out the window when you don't put the time or the work in or spend the money on the resources to make sure that the finances of your business are taken care of. So people bury their head in the sand and hope it all works itself out. And in doing so, you just make it worse. It
Yeah.
doesn't go away on its own. You know, there's this governing body called the CRA that's not going to let it just go and fix itself. You know, the outcome of your financial situation is not the accountant's fault. We're just the bearer of the bad news. I get told off all the time. Oh, you must have done my taxes wrong. You, this is your fault. This is you. This is you. It's not. It's your mess. And the lack of
Wow.
education, or, and I hate to say education because I also talked about how I wasn't a straight A student, but I educated myself on the
Yeah.
subject
Along the way.
matter.
Yeah.
Right. For everything I needed to know about being an entrepreneur as well as an accountant. Obviously went to school to become an accountant. Eventually I got smarter, but high school was not my thing.
Not my thing either,
But
girl.
it's your job as an accountant to put the tools in the toolkit that you need. So just because the school didn't teach it to you, or didn't go to school for it, it's not an excuse or a reason not to. So stop patting yourself on the back or feeling sorry for yourself for what you can't or don't know how to do and figure out how to do it.
Shit.
That was mean. I'm sorry.
That no, that
We'll
was
feel so strong
100%
about that.
real. That was the Stephanie Folahan twist on it. But sometimes people have to hear it just like that, Stephanie. Just like that. And that's why I asked that question. Because the hard
You know
truth.
how I feel about it.
It's the hard truth. This is
Yeah.
what it is. Um, anything else you want to add before we go to our close?
Anything else I want to add? I'm not as harsh when working with folks, but if somebody asks me the you know the hard truth, if they say you know give me
Give
the
it to me hard.
give me 2 cents about you know what I got going on in my business here, I will give it to you. But I also will give you motivation and some
Absolutely.
positive reinforcement if that's what I can tell that you need in the
Yeah.
moment. So please, when you see me out, don't be scared to talk about your business thinking I'm just going to go off about you know all the things I see wrong with it. I have things wrong in my own business too, so I'm not
Jesus.
judging you. I'm in the same boat, so I see you in myself and myself in you when I have these strong opinions about things, and I hope that you know they come across properly when I get fired up about
Absolutely.
shit.
It's called being passionate about seeing everybody win.
I
You're passionate about the success rates for small businesses, women-owned businesses and whatnot. And that's why it comes out the way it comes out. Because if you didn't care, Stephanie, you would be more, oh yeah, it is what it is. Like there's no harsh truth.
absolutely.
Everybody can do this. Like, do you know what I mean? So I get it, and I'm hoping that the listeners and viewers, I know they'll get it. If you're tuning into my show, you already know. But I will say I appreciate, you know, you as an individual, as a human being, as, you know, another mom, entrepreneur, facilitator, educator, mover and shaker. And for me, just to be in your company is with good fucking company. So I just want to say
Right
thank you
back at
so
ya.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was even like more fiery than our last
Oh,
one.
I know, girl. We need to make this on an annual thing, or
Right?
no, sorry, not annual,
Quarterly.
a monthly thing.
I'm done.
2025, 2025. Anyways, everybody. Well, again, welcome to 2025. I hope you enjoyed this show today. We kicked it off with Stephanie Folahan talking about, having the money mindset, being accountable, and how to reach your successes. So if you enjoyed this show this week, you're going to enjoy the rest of the 51 weeks coming. So tune in every single Friday at 12 p.m. on Spotify and YouTube. And until next week, see everybody later. Bye. Okay, good. Don't hang up.